it just out the price range?
Yeah. Yeah.
or for what like I wanted to do because we're
Lauren-
taking all the kids.
Oh, y'all are?
Yeah.
Lauren wants to go to Portugal this year.
Oh, nice.
And so I don't feel like it's picking me up anymore.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like it's okay. There it goes. It was only going like to 2 on the green thing.
These aren't shores.
Not yet.
These are fine.
I just making sure.
Amazon.
But anyways, yeah, she wants to go to Portugal. So I think that's where we're gonna go this year.
Nice. We decided on Belize.
Belize is super affordable.
Have you been?
Yeah.
No, I almost booked a flight. The flights are like $200-$300 a person, and some people were telling me Airbnbs are like dumb cheap.
Yeah.
We got an Airbnb for like 14 people for $5,000, but for 6 days.
Yeah, that's not bad at
So
all for
we're
that
paying
many people.
like 1,000.
Yeah. Well, that place that we did, if y'all ever want to do that, well, it's not that big of a place though. So when we went to Panama, we did the, it's called GHYD. And so it's like this company that owns houses. So they're like their own Airbnb. And it was like $3,000 for 4 couples. We only did 3 couples, but it could have been 4 couples. And that was for 6 nights, 7 days.
$3,000 split?
Yeah.
Or $3,000 each?
No, $3,000 split. And that was like private pool. On a golf course, like in a community where
that's solid.
They had like a resort with restaurants and stuff like
Dude,
that.
That's cheap.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah,
it was really cool.
Well, good. I think we're live, right?
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I got the homie in here. There's gonna be a lot of broing in
Yeah,
there's gonna be a lot of broing, man. First question I got for you.
All right, let's see it.
Who is Rob?
Rob. Well, it depends who you ask.
Yeah, because you'll like will send somebody my way like, hey, talk to Josh.
Yeah.
I talk to them. They're like, Rob.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I don't know an agent named Rob.
Right? It depends. It depends. Like I said, anytime I meet someone and they ask for my name, I say, well, it depends what you want to call me. I say, you can call me Robert, Rob, Robby, or whatever other version you want to call me. But it depends what phase of life you knew me in, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
So like if you knew me as a kid, you call me Robby.
Okay.
If you knew me as like a teenager, high school, freshman year of college, call me Rob.
Okay.
Big shot Rob, whatever you want to call me.
Big shot at what?
Yeah.
You're a hooper?
I mean, someone used to say I was the only Mexican in the NBA, I mean, that's how they refer to me. But no, and then after that, I went for Rob for quite a while. But Lauren, my wife, has always called me Robby. And she's like, I don't know Rob. I don't know Robert. I only know Robby. And then when I got into real estate, I was like, Rob just sounds like every other name out there. So, Realtor Robby has a little flow to it. So went back to it.
Rob, like, houses, Robbie.
Robin House.
Robbie sounds a little bit more
I tell
playful.
You talk about Robin houses. I was telling Lauren, I was like, do you remember back in COVID where I had to wear a mask, like going into a house? I said, it was the worst thing ever to be like a 6'3" Mexican dude, and especially if I was wearing like all black with a mask on my face.
That's how the beard.
Oh yeah, the beard and everything.
Yeah.
Like, who is it?
Like
it's Rob.
Yeah, exactly.
Robert.
I'm here to show you the house. But yeah, no. So, but anyways, yeah. So like I said, depends on what time period you knew me.
Yeah. So I kind of like have the same thing because my legal name is Josue.
Yeah.
And early on as a kid, first day of school, going through the name Josu.
Yeah.
So Josu. Literally, I'll be in the airports and I'm rushing to the gate. Josu Cisneros, we're waiting for you at gate whatever, right? So like early on, telling my parents they were learning English at this time, like, hey, why did y'all name me Josue? Like, so I went by Josh.
Yeah.
So same thing growing up, I'd say elementary through high school, Josh, college is Josue, other work life is Josue.
Yeah.
But loans, real estate is Josh.
Yeah.
But it gets weird sometimes, like trying to like navigate when you got 2 sets of people from time periods in there. And
Well, that's usually how my birthday goes, right? Like I've got people from all different like time frames of life, and they're like, someone's Rob, someone's Robby, and then other people just are like, that have been around me a lot longer, call me whatever they want to call me, so it's just it's funny. It's always a funny mix.
You go by Tony or anything? Or
I hate Tony. Out in school, the teacher's like, hey, do you mind if I call you Tony? I do mind. But it's been Mathis since sports, maybe Little League.
Yeah.
Everybody's always called me Mathis. And then through college, Mathis. It just kind of, it's my last name. It's weird because my family's huge. Everybody's last name is Mathis, majority of them. And somebody comes around, they're like, "What's up, Mathis?" And you would think everybody would turn, but no, I'm the only one who responds. It's just like kind of it's weird.
Yeah. So what does Robby like to do that Rob didn't like to do? Like, what is
that's a good question.
Yeah.
So one, Rob has always liked food, but Robby is a foodie. Like, I'm kind of bougie when it comes to food.
Robby can afford.
Robby can afford the nicer things, even though he's still going to eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich at night.
Oh, got to.
Yeah. It's a little different, on the level of what you can do. But I would say that. You hit it on the head. Robby has a little bit more of an expensive taste than Rob.
Yeah,
it is very true. Robby took up golf, and so that's always just throwing away money. Bye-bye. Yeah. It's worse than anything else you could get into. I mean, it really is. You just throw away money.
Yeah.
Robby loves to travel. We travel as much as we can. I come from a family life where we didn't travel a whole lot, I think we all kind of were there, right? Yeah. To the coast was like our big,
Houston for me.
Yeah. Was our big trip, right? And as we got older, of course, we got to have like the Disney experience, but I was like 13, so I was too cool to go to Disney, kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, so now, I try and take my boys and my wife as many places as we can go.
Yeah.
So
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, the PB&J thing, a question for you. When's the last time you've had a peanut butter and jelly?
I don't even college, maybe
10,
because for real?
10 years, 12 years ago.
Because the thing is, like, I got reintroduced to PB&J. Once you start having kids, you're packing lunch, you're not prepared in the morning. You start to have a slow start.
Yeah,
you whip up the PB&J, man, and I've probably have eaten so many more PB&Js as an adult than I have as an actual
for real.
kid.
Hey, that's for real, man. So me and my wife, we talk about this all the time. But when we first got married, like full transparency, together we made like $30,000 a year, right? That, and amazingly back then it was enough to buy a house, have a car payment. You can't do that now, right? I miss those days. But at the same time, it was like we always joke, that we were house poor because we were at like Mama Margie's eating tacos, ramen at night, PB&Js at night, But see, for me, if I'm gonna eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, I gotta have chocolate milk.
Oh, really?
I gotta have chocolate milk.
That sounds like they
don't go. No, dude,
they
it's
go
delicious.
Together?
Bro.
I used to eat, I used to eat like Fritos with my PB&J. It's kind of weird. Right here? Yeah, salty, then you got the sweet, right? Like, I don't know why.
I'm gonna say that was Josue over there that was doing that, bro.
On the same side, yeah.
Man. I wasn't big on PB&J, but my dad used to like, hey, look, there's cold cuts. That's what he used to call it.
Cold cuts.
And I'm like, I want to eat some. I want some hot food. And he's like, hey, if your belly start popping, you get in there and get some cold cuts. And so we would eat up all the lunch meat like quick ham. And so he's like, think he's getting smart. He's like, all right, I'm gonna go buy some cotton salami. Yeah. And so I got some peppers in it. I'm like, I don't want this. He's like, too bad. I'm like, ugh.
Yes, my mom, man, she's famous. And I tell my boys this all the time now too, but you say, oh, I'm hungry, Mom. And she'd be like, there's food over there. And I'd be like, no, I don't want that. And she's like, then you're not hungry. Yeah. And so anytime my boys say that, I'm like, hey, they say I'm hungry. Oh, I don't want that one. Then you're not hungry.
Thing. Same thing, man. Man, luckily, I feel like real estate's back. Curious how you feel here in a second. But, man, these last 3 or 4 months, I've gotten a little creative with sandwiches and grilling but making a mean sandwich, man. So a gourmet PB&J that's a low key, solid meal there.
I tell you what, sandwiches, man. I love me a good sandwich, but at the same time, I'll get tired of them. Like when I'm like on my second day, third day, and I'm pushing into the fourth day, like we didn't have leftovers because we've been eating out because of boys' games and stuff like that. I'm like, babe, I make too much money to eat a sandwich 4 days in a row.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, you're not hungry then. No, I'm just kidding.
I think we've talked about this before, but what was that meal that like growing up that you're like
struggle meal?
We know that the ends is kind of like barely making it, and you come and you're like, what we having for dinner? And you're like,
oh, bro, I'll give it to you straightforward. There's two right off the bat. One, them thin, skinny pork chops. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
They got the bone on them.
Yeah.
I mean, like I told somebody the other day, I said, I remember like grabbing the leftover, like the bones and biting the meat off of them. Not because we were poor. I mean, we didn't have a ton of money, but like it was like there wasn't enough left, and that's what I got to eat, you know? So I mean, you know, eating that. And then the other thing is microwavable Salisbury steaks, bro.
Oh, those are still low key.
Oh, bro, I won't touch them.
I got 4 in the fridge right now.
I'll still mess with those, like, low key.
Nah, dude, if I see those, dude, I'll flip it over, man. I ain't doing that. And then the other thing is bologna sandwiches, bro.
Yeah.
I can't stand bologna.
Yeah.
Bologna. And the reason, I had an aunt, dude, and she used to take care of us after school. Every day, it was a piece of bread. And I like mayonnaise, but Miracle Whip, I hate.
Thick,
Miracle Whip, thick on there, and a slice of bologna, bro. Oh, I get nightmares.
Yeah, I used to be big mayo. Now I'm team mustard, man.
Yeah, I love
I think
mustard,
because
too.
of Whataburger, just you get the mustard on there, and it just translates over to everything else.
Yeah,
even my brisket. Slap on the mustard on the brisket.
Wait, you're talking about before you cook it, not
before.
after. Okay,
Not after. Not after.
We're about to fight. We're about to fight. There you go. Yeah.
What was your meal?
Man, we ate a lot of my mom made rice and potatoes with everything and made chicken at least like 12 different types of ways. Like all kinds of different types of chicken with rice and potatoes, because all those things are chicken's cheap. Get a whole chicken, rice, you can cook up rice and potatoes, you know. That was what we did a lot.
Yeah. No, that's, but you can get creative with
which it is good because she's Guatemalan. So like we would, and then my dad's Mexican. So he wants his proper Mexican meal. And then she would like stir up her Guatemalan, like little remix version.
All right. That was
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah. So with like going back to like, you know, Robby now, right? Yeah. I know your background, how you kind of got into real estate. We've kind of talked about that, but just for people that are watching here, like what was your entryway into real estate? How did that transition happen?
So, I did banking for 10 years, started from a teller to a banker, to a manager.
Where at? What bank?
IBC Bank started off and then went over to Chase. And it's funny because like as a banker, my manager at the time, he was always like, dude, you are the best service person I have ever seen in my life, but you suck at sales.
Yeah.
And that sounds funny, right? Because now I'm a realtor, but he was like, dude, you suck at sales. Yeah. And I told him, I'm never going to put somebody in a product that I don't think they need.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to do that. And it's not like he was pushing us to do that. It's just in sales, you got to find products to sell, right? Yeah, and you got to figure out how to do it. But I mean, off the charts, great customer service, you know? And I had always wanted to do something different. You know, like I said, I was doing it for 10 years. I was tired of wearing a monkey suit, you know, had the slacks, the shirt, the tie every single day. And I was so tired of it. Anyways, so my wife, she would always make fun of me because when someone wanted something, if it was a car, a TV, anything, I would find the best deal for them for the best product and say, here you go. Yeah. And she's like, you should start a business where this is what you do, right? Yeah. Like this is what you do. And I was like, yeah, but how do you charge someone to find deals? Like then it negates what you're doing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, we had bought our first house and had a terrible experience with a realtor. Like, didn't tell me nothing. Like, I was young. I was 21 years old. Didn't know anything. 22 years old. Bought a cheap little house, you know, over off Tezel, right in that area. But he didn't teach me anything. He didn't tell me anything. Yeah. I mean, nothing. Just kind of here, sign here, do this, do that, but never explained anything to me. Then I had an introduction. I have a friend named Taronda who you've met Taronda, who was a realtor. And when we sold that house to buy our other house in Wild Horse, she was like, you know, I can help you with that. And so we were going through the process. But like, as we're doing it, she's like, are you sure you don't want to just do this on your own? Like, go get your license.
She was your realtor?
She was my realtor.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Because she was like, you can do this. She was like, you really can. And I was like, nah, you know, I was like, no, I want you, you know, to do this. And so we did it. And she was like, you need to go get your real estate license. And so we were finally at a point where Lauren was now a teacher, right? So she had insurance, she had an income, and I was like, oh wait, I can do this now. Like, you know, it's been 10 years. And so I'm like, let's do it. Let's jump off, you know, let's go. And honestly, the like dagger in the banking world was, we'll just call them out by name, Chase Bank. But I was due for like a really big bonus in a year. And you had to keep a certain customer service level, right, on reviews and stuff like that. And if you didn't get a 9 or a 10, you failed, right? So you didn't get a 9 or a 10. And the day before cutoff, we get a review, and it's an 8 out of 10.
Damn.
But do you want to know what that review was for?
What's that?
Banking hours.
Like you control them.
Yeah.
Nothing I could control. That knocked me down $5,000 in bonus.
Oh, that's the last straw.
Man.
Last straw, bro.
And at that time, $5,000 was
dude, huge,
lot.
man. I mean, huge.
Yeah.
You know, especially when you ain't making a ton of money.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, but yeah, so that was the last straw. And I walked in and said, "Hey, I'm just so you know, I'm giving my 2 weeks." I had already been going to school though, for it. And they were like, "Well, you can't do both. It's conflict of interest." And I was like, "All right, well, I'm out." At my time, my district manager was like, "Are you sure you want to do this? Like, you have a family to take care of. Are you sure? Like, it's commission. It's 100% commission, blah, blah, blah." And after my first year, I was like, dang, I shouldn't have done this.
Like, bro, you cost me some new boots, new TV. I'm out.
But anyways, so that's what dove me into the deep end.
So coming from the bank, you never thought like maybe you could be an LO?
No, you know, my thing about it is nothing wrong. Like, I think about it now. I'm like, man, I should go get my license to do that too. But at the time, it was like, I didn't want to go work for somebody. You know what I mean? I wanted to just be on my own. You know, that's why I didn't join a team when I got in real estate. You know, the opportunity was there, but I was like, I don't want to do that. You know, I want to be my own boss, which I'm the worst boss ever, by the way. But it's one of those things, man.
Horrible bosses.
I always tell people, I'm like, my boss is a jerk. But anyways, so just kind of was like, no, you know, I want to do and I like even before real estate, I loved real estate. I love seeing values go up. I loved, you know, finding the right house, you know, that kind of stuff.
You helped me find this hoce, dude.
I did.
Oh,
really? I did help you find this house.
Oh.
Yeah. And so, I think it worked out all right.
I think so.
It was nice.
It's all right. You know, it's all right. No, it's nice, man. I love this house.
Yeah. So Anthony comes from the banking side, kind of in a way, right? Because you work for Wells Fargo. Like, and just thinking about that real quick with your manager about the customer service thing, because I don't know if this is right or not, but I think I remember from school, like, didn't the banks get into a lot of trouble with pushing things on people? Like, so I wonder if part of it was them like writing you about that. Like, did y'all ever have anything like that where like people were like writing y'all about like extra services and overselling products or something like that? Like,
for us, it was actually when we got in trouble, it was hilarious, right? Because we used to push sales. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh man, we had to pay all this money. Hey, service over sales. Let service lead to sales. And I'm like, that's what I've been doing, and y'all tell me I suck, you know? But it was one of those things. It was funny. It was this huge switch, bro. It was just service. Yeah. And then like right before I left, sales started creeping back in a little bit, like, hey, we got to start picking up, you know, a little bit. But yeah, I mean, that's what it was, man. It went from super heavy, hey, they have another credit card pre-approval, but they got 4 credit cards, but they have a pre-approval.
When did y'all get y'all's first? When did you get your first credit card?
17 was in the mall. Was like
17 years old.
17 years old.
Like 2017.
17. I was walking through the mall with my cousin, and K Jewelers is man, I can get this, like, I don't need like a gift card if you sign up. And I was like, I don't want a credit card. Like, no, it's not a credit card. And I was like, oh, all right, cool. Signed up, and they gave me like a little, I don't even, like a $10 gift card.
Boy, walked out with a piece and chain.
I didn't even go inside. Like, I was on the outside of it. And then my mom was like, what is this?
Yeah.
And the credit card came in the mail. I'm like,
no.
But, and I don't know, I'm sure you can't do that now, but back then it was just, I just filled out like a questionnaire.
Yeah.
And got a credit card.
I remember I walked into Wells Fargo like at 18 and got my first credit card, and was so dumb.
Yeah.
The dumbest thing ever.
I don't think I got mine until we got like married, or right before we got married. At some point, it was, I mean, I worked for a bank, so I had a credit card, right? It was probably not too long before we got married. But I don't think I made enough money to have a credit card before I went to Chase, so that's probably when I got mine. But I'm one of those people that's a huge points person. I've always been like,
oh, dude,
I've always been like, no, even back then I was like, hey, y'all don't have a points card, you know, like you ain't got a freedom card, like, you know, that was the thing. Cause I was like, man, I put everything on my card. I try that's what I tell people all the time. You know, I'll get a couple friends that are from back in the day, like, dude, you ever work? You're always traveling, you know, blah, blah. Go, dude, I travel off of points.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't spend a whole lot of money on traveling. Like, that whole California trip we took last week, flights, hotels, rent a car, all on points.
Awesome, man.
It's like,
yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Though,
you know?
Yep.
So,
Some perks out of it.
yeah, but anyways, yeah, so that's probably when I got my first credit card was back then.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, fun fact.
Yeah.
All right. You want to get a bite?
Yeah, let's go
All
ahead.
right. Where do we get tacos from?
We got it from Mia's Mexican Grill.
Okay.
Over there off 1604 in Bandera. I don't really ever eat their tacos, but their food is great, bro. Like, I love their food. And I was like, well, Mary's Tacos has already been done. Lincoln Grill's already been done. I was like, I'm not driving all the way to the other side of town to get some tacos. But yeah, so this was good.
Oh, is this one of y'all spots, like just to get a quick meal for the
This
fam?
is, bro.
Or?
This is like, you know, when they have like a family special for fajitas or something like that, or we want breakfast, you know, they give you so much food there, bro. That's why I love to go there. Yeah.
I think I've been before. I can't remember if I was like waiting on something and I went because I was in the area because it's like really sometimes it can get
It's
congested.
right there by the by the office. Right?
Well, Bandera
well,
1604.
yeah, a little bit before.
Well,
yeah. So I've been before. I just can't remember for what.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. And so I got there's 2 carne guisada with cheese and 2 fajitas. So you choose.
Yeah. Did you get a taco? Oh,
Would you like a taco?
I'll take whatever you want.
okay.
I'm hoping. I can already tell. This is nice and soft.
Some bean and cheese or
Nah,
something.
this is he said the carne guisada, right?
Yeah, there's a carne guisada with
This
cheese.
has to be it, man. Let's take a look. Oh yeah.
Let's see. Let me see what this is. I'm low key kind of. Oh, this looks good.
All right. So the goal here is we want to try to finish this in 3 bites.
Oh man, I had to grab the fajita to finish in 3 bites. That's gonna be rough.
Okay. What sauce?
So I don't know. Those are the ones from there. That's probably the mild. That one probably looks a little more fire. And then you got the green one over there. So
you want to try the green?
Yeah,
And
we
then-
can do that.
okay.
Yeah, let's do a green.
So let's see what their sauce is about. We've had all these other sauces on
I think so.
every
yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at this point, we're recycling them because man, it's probably got like how many more sauces in the fridge?
Man, we got.
They gotta get
a dozen.
gotta get eaten at some point. I'm telling you, man, that's so that salsa, the gallo, it's what is it called? You know what it's called? It's called gallo something though, right? Or is it just gallo? But it's in a plastic
At the store?
yeah, like a squeezable thing
Okay.
at HEB. And they got a jalapeno. They have a roasted one. They have a jalapeno one and then a habanero one.
Mhm.
Habanero one's orange and it's hot, but man, it's good, dude. I love it. Love it. All right, we doing this?
Yeah, you want to
you-
go ahead and
You go ahead and hit it first.
Oh, I hit it
Yeah,
first.
yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
For dramatic effect.
Oh,
Yeah,
gotcha. All right, here we go.
There
we
we
always
go.
like to see if that sauce is kind of fire just before I take a bite of it.
Shouldn't be. This is probably like flavor,
I
right?
don't even
Taste
taste
anything?
Spicy.
Oh, okay.
All right,
Okay.
you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Let's get after it.
All right. Oh shit.
Bro.
What?
I bit the wrong side.
It don't work like that, dude.
I was like, there's a lot of green stuff, but
I'll dip my tortilla on that side, and
it's good.
That's hilarious.
that way.
And
You have to try. We have one really hot salsa from New Orleans.
Yeah.
You have to try it.
Yeah. See, but the thing about salsa, let me talk about that real quick. I love a hot salsa,
Mhm.
but if it ruins the taste of the food, I don't like it. Like, I don't
Yeah.
understand people that want something so spicy
Mhm.
that, like, you don't taste anything else. I don't, that's
Taste
not,
buds is like
yeah,
demolished.
like, I'm like, it, to me, that just doesn't make any sense.
I'll get like that sometimes. But like I want the salsa,
yeah.
but then I also want to enjoy the food. That
Yeah.
sometimes I won't do that. But like,
Yeah.
some places be having some killer, but it's really good though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't like to do that either.
I don't know if it's just me or you go to a Mexican restaurant and they have some chips and salsa out and the salsa is so hot, but you can't stop eating it.
Yeah.
I'm like, what am I doing? I'm like, I'm gonna torture myself.
One of the things that that I hate about Las Palapas is that their salsa is just like crushed tomatoes on the table. Like, I don't like that. Like, there got to be some kick to it.
Yeah.
Like, there's
Something.
got to be something to it. You know, I like their other salsas, but that
Mhm.
one's just like, I don't know.
I like that. They got a botana platter.
I haven't had
It's
it.
like I think if you go during happy hours, it's like their apps are half off.
Yeah.
Dude, you get like flautas, nachos. Kylie, you look like you you know what's going on over there. I'm on the right track, right? Like flautas, nachos, and like a quesadilla, and
dang,
it's like 4 or 5 different things. It's pretty solid, man.
Yeah. I don't think I've had that.
I turn that into my plate sometimes.
Yeah,
and
it's just what
have a little bit of
tweet.
everything. Yeah.
I see that.
What do y'all want to get into? NAR? Want to talk a little bit about
man.
NAR?
That's the topic, bro.
Hot topic,
I'm ready.
That's the topic, man. That's the topic.
You know, this past week, man, I've had like 2 other agents randomly talk to me about potentially, but you made a comment about, you know, getting an LO license.
Yeah.
Heard it from 2 other people. Right whenever the news came out, a lot of agents like, well, you know, there goes half of my business, right? So
Yeah.
I haven't researched it to its full extent, but what is your take on NAR?
Yeah.
Like, kind of explain if you can, if as much as you can, explain what the situation is.
Yeah. So, you're right. Like the media is reporting this as like a death to the buyer agent kind of thing. They're, you know, touting it as the 6% is no more, you know, you keep hearing the word, the standard 6%. And what sucks is all of this is so far off, like so far off. I will say that from the standpoint of, if you don't know, you know, what's been going on, basically there's a bunch of lawsuits about commissions. Sellers felt like they shouldn't be paying a buyer's commission. And we're going to kind of jump into a lot of this here, into some different thinking, but, that's basically what it was. Right. And so, NAR, which is our representation as realtors, you know, if we're part of it, a National Association of Realtors, said, all right, we're going to settle for 400 million plus, right, dollars. And what we're going to do, and this is all that has been said, right? We don't know the finalization, hasn't been approved by a judge, but this is what they've said is no longer can a buyer agent commission be listed on the MLS. That's it.
That's already, they already approved that.
Well, no, nothing's been approved.
Okay.
So we can't say anything for sure, right? But this is what's been proposed, should be approved. But that's it. That's the bottom line. You're hearing all these headlines of sellers can't cover buyers' commissions anymore. They won't do it, you know, all this stuff. And none of that is anywhere in language, right?
Yeah.
Now, could it happen? Sure.
Yeah.
There could be a revision that says, hey, no, you know, seller can't pay for a buyer's agent. But then, like we talked about the other day, I think I had mentioned to you, well, one, that kills a first-time home buyer.
Yeah.
How are they going to afford closing costs, down payment, and paying for their own realtor?
Yep.
You know, and then even more so, VA buyers, they cannot pay for their own realtor. So
Yeah.
how does that work?
Right.
Who pays for that?
Yeah.
If the seller can't pay for it, right? But like I said, that's why it won't happen, because then we go into a whole nother laundry list of problems.
Yeah.
But either way, we will start to see, in my opinion, we'll start to see sellers say, well, I'm not going to pay a buyer's commission.
Yeah.
Why would I do that? You know,
Yeah.
I can see that there's going to be a weird, like, time here, right? Where we're kind of up and down with this. But something that Rich, our broker, actually pointed out to me, and I was like, well, that's a real good point. He was like, does the seller really pay? And I was like, well, what do you mean? Like, yeah, it shows it on the final HUD, right? And he goes, no, the buyer's bringing the money.
Right. Exactly.
And I was like, huh.
He said that to me the other day.
I was
too.
like, yo, that's a big deal. Like, you're right. Without the buyer, the seller doesn't pay anything.
Right.
You know? And so it's one of those things. But yeah, so that's the gist of it. Right. And so all those headlines out there that you're seeing, you know, that they're not going to pay for it, all this stuff. None of that is there. And then the thing I can't stand is, you keep seeing people write the standard 6% commission. Like, there is no standard.
Yeah.
Like, there isn't. And if a realtor's proposing it as that, they're doing it wrong. They've been doing it wrong, right? It's always been negotiable, right?
Yeah.
I mean, anywhere, you know, that you want to negotiate that, right? I mean, I've seen 6%, I've seen 7%, I've seen 4%, you know, I mean, I've seen all sorts of numbers. But the thing is, in my opinion, I've always told people this is, you know, in the beginning, I was always cutting my rate, like just to get work, like, yeah, here, you know, whatever you want off. I want to sell this house, you know, I want to do this.
You are a salesman.
Yeah, you know, kind of. But now, you know, my thing is like, man, I know what I bring to the table,
Right.
You know, as a realtor, I know that, you know, the houses that I list sell faster than what the average days on market, you know. I think right now we're at 76, you know. My last 3 were 2 days, 7 days, didn't hit the market.
Man.
On my last 3 this month.
Nice.
And so it's like that compared to 76,
Right.
you know, and don't get me wrong. they were great listings, right?
Yeah,
They were, I can't say that they weren't.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like we were out there getting multiple offers. It was just like, boom, people were ready to buy, and things like that. But I truly believe that, when you do things right, I always say, if you're going to list it right, right? I'll put that as my tagline. Like, if you're going to list it right. And by that, I mean, pay the best photographer, For me, that's bright and early, my boy Rick, his company does an amazing job with my pictures. They make my, I'll pay more for obviously my $1 million listings, but they make my $250,000 listings look amazing.
Yeah.
And from there, and then having the right team, your title team, your team that you're going to refer to for insurance, for lender, but having that team together, of people that are going to take care of your people, and you don't really have to worry about the rest of it. Like, we're going to work through it. Yeah, we're going to, like I said, have some up and down, but going back to the NAR thing is, there's going to be change, right? It's going to happen. Change is going to happen. But ultimately, I don't see anything crazy happening.
I don't either, because I don't really see the consumer, just being all that knowledgeable about what's going on. Excuse me. We, as people in the industry, we're aware of whatever the standard was, right? And I just don't see, like, sellers saying or knowing, right, and guiding you guys on how to, construct the transaction. And I think that's just going to be more education from y'all side to, like, really navigate the transaction to make sure everything runs smoothly.
I will say, I think this brings to the forefront, because, like I said, the commission conversation is always negotiable.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Anytime I'm in a listing agreement, I start off with saying, this is negotiable. Here's what I charge. Right? Because, like I said, I know what I bring to the table.
Yeah.
I know that my record shows that I'm going to get this done.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where, like, it's always been that. And if it hasn't been portrayed as that, then it's portrayed wrong. Right.
Yeah.
And so I do think that I'm glad that there's some light coming to that. Right. And then the other thing that we're going to see as a big change is now you have to have a buyer's rep signed to show homes. Right. But that's always been the case.
Yeah.
You should have that signed before you go show homes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, these are just things that are like, they're there. Right. It just hasn't been maybe done in the most correct way. And, there's bad apples in every industry.
Yeah.
There's tons of bad realtors. You think about it. I think right now we're at like 15,000 realtors in San Antonio. You can't tell me that there's not bad apples that aren't doing it right.
Well, that number's dropped probably. Too,
yeah,
right?
It has. I think the last number I saw, and this was a few months ago, that across the United States, like, oh man, what was it? Like 100,000 realtors had quit.
Yeah, I seen something like
this year.
You follow Ricky Caruth?
Yeah, Ricky.
Yeah, I think I had seen something that he posted. Like,
I started following Ricky before he was Ricky.
Yeah.
Like, and we have conversations and DMs and talking back and forth. And he's a really good dude, man. He's all about making agents better.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's in the forefront of all of it. You know what I mean? And he's got, I think, 1,000 agents under him or something crazy like that. So he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah. So do you think we run into a situation like what I see is like with like a listing agent? Do you think like this could lead somebody like to be just like a jerk and be like,
oh yeah,
we're not paying?
Yeah, for sure.
Like that's what I'm like kind of worried about. We're like, we're not worried about it, but like dealing with somebody, the bad apple that is just like, we're not going to pay. So
here's what there's a couple scenarios, right? I think that does happen, right? I think that there are those people who are going to take this and go with it. But the thing about it though is, if I'm representing a client, right, and I tell them, now my conversation has to be, hey, this is what I charge, right, for my help. The seller can still pay for that, but they may not anymore, right? And if they don't, are you willing to pay that, right? And the thing is, the client may go and see a house and be like, you know what, I love this house, but it's not worth shoveling out that extra amount of money. And so we may see sellers sit there, that aren't offering any sort of compensation. But the other side of it too, I think we may see a lot of buyer's agents say, well, you know what? It only took us 2 houses to find this house. I know I still got a lot of work coming, but let's me and you negotiate something on that. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's what's going to end up happening. And so I will say though, one of the things about it, I've been seeing this a lot, right? Is like, you see all these comments and all this stuff. Realtors are overpaid. Realtors, all they do is sign some paperwork. And I'm like, bro, I said, ask my wife how last week in California, I was on the phone all week. just picking it up, boom, 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 talking, getting on my computer, my laptop, making sure everything was taken care of. I don't think people realize that side of it. They just.
Well, even like you mentioned something earlier that I wanted to bring up, but I don't want to go too far into that. But like even the aspect of y'all's job, like you brought up insurance.
Yeah.
Like, insurance is like a huge thing where it's tough because y'all are self-employed and I don't really know the specifics behind that, but there's so many things that y'all are just kind of vulnerable to, especially the fact that you're not guaranteed any money. It's all 100% commission based.
Yeah. I will say that's a huge thing. But that's any entrepreneur, right? Like you don't have health insurance, that kind of stuff. Yeah. But the big thing is I always tell people, if you want me to break this down for you, right? Cause I got friends that when I post, I had a great year and, I'll say I sold this many homes and they'll go back and they'll try and figure out how much money I made. And I'm like, bro, yeah, cool. You found out my gross income, right? I said, but then I said, take away my taxes, take away what I pay my broker, take away all my advertising, my marketing. I mean, everything. I'm like, you don't realize like, I make good money, right? But I don't make the money you think I make, know? And the thing about it is it really is the big thing. And if you don't do it right, you can end up, I remember one of my first big years, man. I was like, you get hit with that self-employment tax if you don't set yourself up right. And I had somebody tell me, well, do you have an LLC set up yet? And I'm like, no, I don't. And they're like, well, you need to set it up before, the end of the year. And someone gave me the tip back then before it was big. Hey, set it up with an S Corp selection. And I go meet my guy at the end. He's telling me, and he's like, oh man, you're going to owe, a huge chunk of taxes. I'm like, well, I don't got that. Like I was like, and he goes,
that's gone.
Yeah. It was like, I was like, I'm not ready to start stashing that stuff to the side yet. But he was like, well, next year we're going to open you up an LLC. I go, oh wait, I opened one of those this year. And he goes, but did you do an S Corp selection? I go, yeah, someone told me to do it. And he was like, bro, he's like, you just saved yourself a ton of money. And for real, I mean, save my, and so, but what I'm saying is people don't realize like there's a ton of expenses that come with this job, and not only that, it's the time, when I'm hitting my busy stretch in summer, and from about March till September is my like busy stretch. I mean, there's years, man, where I've gone and I'm working, I'm working 60, 65 hours a week on the low end, especially during the summer, and so, I mean, I love being able to do what I do, but at the same time, I'm a slave to the schedules of other people.
Yep.
What days can you go see houses? What days can you, do this? And so, not only that, but like I work with a lot of out of town buyers, last year and the year before, man, I had people from Italy. I had people from Germany, obviously within the United States as well. But like those places where I'm like, oh man, we got to work this out to where I either got to stay up late or get up early, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we had Becca out in Germany.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Remember, well, it was Germany. And then it was, where were they after that? Italy, I can't remember. We had them, and so it's not something that like you're like, oh yeah, I just get to wake up and do what I want to do every day. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, it's one of those things where, like I said, wrapping back around to the whole commission thing, I do think we'll start to see sellers try and take advantage of it. I think it'll even itself out eventually. I think sellers are going to have to realize like, I still got to pay somebody to sell this house. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, and one thing that Rich and I talked about, the other day was, this was before my time. And he was like, yeah, well, everybody back in the day used to work for the seller.
Right. Yeah.
Even the buyer's agent. Yeah. And I was like, no way. And he was like, yeah. He goes, and guess what? They said, well, that's unfair to the buyer. So now there needs to be a separate representation of them to protect them. And now it's like, we're like, oh, let's take that away.
I had the same conversation with him yesterday.
Did you? Yeah. And so I'm like, yeah, that's true. If it does get to that point, right, where we're like that, then it's like, then who are we protecting now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. And then the other part of it is like I said, and people can dive into all sorts of stuff when it comes to it. But the end result is, my question is like, if they come after us in this sense, right? Like, do they go after lawyers next? Like,
right,
what I mean? Like people who charge these, you see the billboard where a lawyer takes half of what they won in a verdict for someone. And I know that person's being awarded the money, but like, that seems kind of steep to me, you know, but they charge because they win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
that's their standard.
Yeah, exactly. And so like, for me, it's like the way I see it is like, I understand that there's realtors out there who could care less about their client. I understand that. Right. But for me, I tell every client, I'm going to walk into this like you're my brother or my sister or my family member, right? That is buying a house or selling a house.
Yeah.
And I'm going to guide you like that. Right. Yeah. And like I tell people all the time, I'm not going to tell you what house to buy. this is your choice, right? Like, if you want my opinion, I will give you my opinion, but I'm not going to force you. I'm not going to steer you. I'm just going to say, here's how it's going to get done, and let me get it done for you, right? Like, and I have to tell that to people because I tell people all the time, the thing that is great about my customer service experience at those banking places, I got to learn how to deal with the guy who was always overdrafted and had no money, and the guy who had millions. So I got an experience of like every walk of life, right? And so I can do that now. You know, what's funny is like people laugh sometimes. I have this one client who rather well off, and anytime I show up in golf shorts and a golf polo, right, or something like that. And he's like, "You can't even wear pants to come see me." And I'm like, and we joke about it all the time, but it's like, I'm not gonna dress up in a suit to impress somebody. Like, we're gonna do business. I'm good at what I do. You know what I mean? And
how did your Chase manager not tell you that you weren't a salesperson?
Bro, well, because I wasn't good at the close, right? Like, you know, the close is like, I could get somebody interested. Yeah. But it's like I said, I'm not going to push stuff on people. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to do it. And so, now I will say this, that manager, dude, he made a huge difference in my life. Right. I won't say his name, but, dude, he taught me so much about just like, I mean, sales, but like business, like how to run a business. Right. And so, he's a real cool dude, man. He was an Italian dude. One time, I'll just tell you a quick sidebar. There was a funny story, man. We're there. This dude's getting all rowdy, you know, yelling at one of our tellers. He starts spouting off. He yells at my manager, and he's my size, right? Yeah. He grabs this dude by the shirt, dude, picks him up, pushes him out the door, and it's like, "Don't come back in my bank." And I was like, "Oh man, we're gonna get in trouble." And like, no, it didn't turn into anything. But he was like, he didn't put up with anything. You know what I mean? He had that Italian attitude.
Forcer.
Yeah. He was a good dude, man. But yeah, he taught me a lot. And so, it was just one of those things. He was like, "Dude, you set everybody up perfect, and then you don't take it." Yeah. And I'm like, because if they don't want it, I'm not going to push it, you know? So, like I said, I understand there's some sales jobs where you got to do that, right? But for me, I always tell people, I don't sell a house. The house sells the house. But it's my job to put it in a position to sell itself. You know what I mean? Like, it pictures, the way I list it, the way I market it, the way I get it out there. Specifically, one of my big things, man, is like, and we won't go too far on this tangent, but like I said, Rick with Bright and Early, one thing he taught me was like the way you set up your pictures tells a story, even in real estate. And I'm like, in a house? He goes, yeah. He goes, if I take my pictures and you set them up and you do the door, the master bedroom, the kitchen, one of the kids' rooms, a backyard, does that make any sense? I said, no. He goes, so when I take your pictures, I take them as, we're going to walk through this house in the pictures, and we're going to set up the key points that I want them to see. And I'm like, but it makes a difference, dude. Absolutely. It makes a difference, you know, especially when I'm coming into a neighborhood and there's houses that have been sitting on the market for 60 days and I come in and I'm sold. Yeah. You know? And don't get me wrong. I have some, I said this in a post the other day. I had a listing, dude. It took me a year to sell. A year to sell. And it's a beautiful listing. Beautiful, but it's in Bandera, Texas. The price point's a little higher than the average over there. Like, you know, it was kind of that stuff. But we got it under contract, you know? I mean, it took a long time, and I got it under contract 3 times, you know? But it just, it's one of those things where they're not, and this I actually learned, I don't want to keep running on.
No, but, you're good.
But I learned this from somebody else when I first started, and what he taught me was they're not all home runs. Yeah. And I was like, dude, that's a great point. Like, you're gonna hit some base hits. Yeah. They're not great, but you got it done. Right? You're on base. But the home runs are fun. Yeah. But the base hits are what make you your money, right? I mean, that's just where it's at. And so, anyways, yeah. So that's kind of how I approach it.
I got a lot of base hits right now.
Yeah.
So I was kind of thinking, like, with the whole commission thing, and I don't know, I always got weird mindset about things, but I can picture. Well, I've heard already some realtors like, all right, I need to start looking into like other avenues of money. Like, I'm gonna start get another license. I'm gonna open up small businesses, whatever the case may be. And I can just, for some reason, I've been going to Wash Tub a lot because I got the new truck, and so they gave me a year's free membership there. But for some reason, I can just picture like realtors everywhere, like Keller Williams shirt on, Remax shirt on. They're all like working at Wash Tub, like in the meantime, because everybody's like panicking. Like, do you feel like it's going to get to the point where you got
it? Well, so yes, I do think that realtors that just depend on like not working to get there. But you know what I mean? Like they just kind of when it comes to me, it comes to me. They're all gone. You know what I mean? Like we've already seen it. Like I said, I think it's like 100,000 realtors are gone already. In San Antonio, there was I shared this stat not that long ago. I think Ricky posted it, Ricky Caruth. And it was that 49% of realtors last year did one sale or less.
Yeah,
49%,
that's crazy.
right? And so you're seeing that, right? But I think the people who do this for the right reasons and who have their business set up correctly, I don't think this changes much.
I don't think so either, man. I think we just keep rolling.
I think we just keep rolling, you know? And like I said, there's going to be those issues where we run into where a seller doesn't want. So then how do we work that out? Is there a credit, that we do? Is there something? Because like we've already said, if a seller doesn't want to offer a commission and a VA buyer wants to buy their house, how do we do that? There's no way, and then, like I said, I do think there will be some restructuring, understanding that like, it may get a little thin for some people at some point, with rate, with commissions and things like that. But at the same time, once again, I think I know when people can see the value in what you offer, they're willing to pay for it. It's how you approach it. Like I said, I used to be like, well, we could do this and I could take off a percentage point and all this. And now I'm like, look, I understand that's what you wanted, you would like me to do, but let me show you why this is what
I think that comes with experience.
And it does, and because there's times where people want me, you do it for 4%. Now you can find another realtor to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I
love it.
And it's because, like I said, I don't just sit around. I don't just sit on my butt, and just say, when an offer comes, No, I'm constantly looking at how can we improve this? What can we do? What kind of marketing do we need to do? And that's a great thing about being with our office at Remax. Remax North is automatically, when I list that, there's not only the syndication, which we don't have to do anything, but our marketing that we do within the office is amazing. I mean, it really is. It really gets our house out there in the forefront. And so it's like, that's why one of the things I love about our office is I don't got to do anything for that. You know what I mean? It's already just in motion.
Well, man, it sounds like you're a professional realtor. And don't get your LO license. I think to wrap all that up, don't get your LO. Sounds like you're really good at what you do, bro. And keep doing that. And man, that's awesome. But no, a lot of good stuff there. Yeah.
Ready for another bite?
You want to get one?
We'll get another bite.
Yeah. Just wanted to remind him not to get his LO license. Slip that in there somehow.
I think that's a good one. What are we trying here?
Let's try the hot sauce.
All right.
I want you to
get some of that.
Taste of that. And this is going to be definitely on the hotter end.
Okay.
Which one is it?
It's the New Orleans, the NOLA. I don't even know what kind of taco is this that I got.
That's a kind of guisada with cheese.
Okay.
Guisada with cheese. You want me to go first? Or you already know what this one tastes
like?
Yeah, go ahead. Still dressing it up over here.
That's even more the reason you go first. It's a little spicy. Is this the one that you had?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You want to try this one? Have you tried this one?
No.
Okay.
I don't want to try it.
Okay.
All right. Let me finish chewing my food.
Yeah, you ready?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, I can already taste it.
That definitely has more of a vinegar based spice to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a little spice.
It could be that it's just old. Expired.
That's hilarious, bro.
There is no expiration date on that one.
It's like the bottles of Tabasco sauce with just vinegar and chili pepper and salt. No, that was good. I like that one.
Mm-hmm. You got a little kick, right?
Yeah, it's got a little kick. Y'all okay? You gonna survive?
No, I'll be good.
Yeah,
sip.
it's hot, but I'm good.
So, obviously, you know how to put people in homes.
Obviously.
The cool thing about my guy, man, he can take you to a house. He can take you to the church house. Leaving people all over the place.
All
man.
over, bro.
Best
all
of both worlds.
So, the great thing about you, right, is that you obviously you're a killer realtor.
Yeah.
Hall of Famer. Platinum. Top
100 Latino realtor in San Antonio consistently. I don't know how many years it is in a row now.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do you navigate that? Because you have you and Graylin have started a church.
Yeah.
Home church, I say, right?
Yeah.
talk to us about that, how you navigate both sides. But really, I'm interested because, as you know, I'm a PK.
Yeah.
And I was just a kid, as my dad was building his
pastor's
church.
kid for those that don't know. They're PK.
Yeah, there you go.
Kid.
Sound like a gang song.
It basically is, bro.
Punt kicker?
No, punt kicker.
I couldn't figure it out. I was like, I
got something in my teeth. So I don't know what was going on while he was building his church.
Yeah.
Just always grew up in the church since a kid. So what is that like, man? Building, I mean, really it's kind of like, I don't want to say building a business because it's, you don't want to
there is an aspect of it that is business.
Right.
Though. Yeah. I mean, there is. Yeah.
So how has that been, that whole?
So yeah, bro. So we, man, it's been a ride, right? Like, we're a year and a half in, but really we're 2.5 years in because we were doing it a year before we launched.
Yes.
And so, dude, it's been a ride, man. So it's, Home Church San Antonio. It was just birthed from a place of like, we both came out of what is known as Pentecostal apostolic faith, right? Like that's where we came out of, which if you don't know what that is, it's a lot of shouting, a lot of emotion, a lot of, hype, that kind of stuff. But it's where we started our relationship with God. You know what I mean? Like, it is always will be a part of us, in that kind of aspect. But we both kind of got to a point where they had left the church before us to go to a different church and do worship and things like that. And my wife and I, Lauren, we kind of were like at this point, right? This is going to sound weird, but right before COVID, we were like, man, I feel like God's calling us to do something different. Like we're comfortable. Like we got a comfortable life. There's not really like a challenge here. And we felt God stretching us. And we talked to our pastor and said, hey, we're gonna leave. I don't know what we're gonna do.
And this pastor is
the pastor we had, Pastor Scoggins at Hope Center.
Got you.
And we love the church, and we were like, we just feel like God is pulling us somewhere else, and we decided to leave. And literally, like 2 weeks later, the world is shut down.
Yeah,
we're like, dang, we just left our church, and the world shuts down. Like, did we make the right decision? That kind of stuff. But one of the things that was crazy about that, man, was it really gave us a look at our life and realized, we revolve life around church and not around God. Like, we can't go to the church and we feel like, what do we do? Instead of like our normal, like, well, we should be cool. Church in the house should be perfectly fine, right? Like we should be able to read the Bible by ourselves and teach our kids the Bible by ourselves. And we were like, man, we were kind of off on how we were doing this. And so, like I said, and kind of that happened. It was a weird thing. We would visit a few churches, things like that. Excuse me. Visited a few churches. At some point, I don't remember when it was, Pastor Grayland was like, hey, we're going to start a church. Like, y'all want to do this? And the one thing that I said to him was, man, that Grayland's my boy. Grayland is like, if I got something that I got to talk about, if I, whatever, like that's my boy. And I was like, bro, I want to, just because you're my boy, say yes. I said, but I got to pray. Right. And we took like a month to pray. And he was like, I think he was kind of getting worried, like maybe they ain't going to do this. But we felt God say, yeah, this is it. And so basically Home Church was birthed out of the idea of, I should have worn my shirt. I had it, I meant to wear it. But with the idea of basically a tagline of Beyond Sunday.
Yeah.
Right. Like the church isn't about Sunday.
Yeah.
Sunday's great. Sunday's where we come together to worship. But what happens from Monday to Saturday in your home, in your work, and in your schools is so much more important.
Yeah.
And so, our goal was to get people to think outside the box, get out of the church mindset, right? Like, let's talk about Beyond Sunday. What can we do? How can we help people throughout the week? That kind of stuff. It's one of those things we talk about, like our goal, right? Our mission is for people to walk in hope, healing, and wholeness, right? Because we think if people can find hope, they'll find healing, and then they'll get to wholeness, right? Because we all have areas in our life that are lacking, right?
Yeah.
But when we can find satisfaction in wholeness, not being over the top or being great, but just being whole, healthy and whole people who have hope can change the people around them.
Man, I was
And
going
so,
to church.
Let's go.
You know,
That was deep.
and so, but that was the whole concept, man. Was like let's get out of the box, right?
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, we love Sundays, right? We love people coming together and worshiping, but in American church, it's become the epicenter.
Yeah.
You know, like for the Christian, the church has become the epicenter, and it's like, yeah, that's great, but like, that's just the same people over and over. You know what I mean? Like, who are the people that we really should be impacting, right? Who are the people that Jesus were after, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, one of the things that we do that's huge at home church, we're doing one this Sunday, in case anybody wants to come, 10:30 a.m. But we do something called Gather Sunday, right? And Gather Sunday is throw out the chairs, throw out the production. We'll have a guitar. We'll do one worship song. We'll do a 5-minute word. And then we just gather around the table to eat.
Oh, that's dope.
And sit shoulders, not rub shoulders. We don't rub shoulders. That's weird. But, you know, like sit next to somebody that you don't know.
Right.
That goes to our church. Get to know the families. You know what I mean? And because that's how the first church did it. They got together around food, you know? So that's kind of the concept, is just like shaking up our concept of what we view of church.
Yeah, I mean, because y'all got creative. I think I don't know if that was the first year that y'all started. I'm assuming based on your timeline, because it was during COVID.
Yeah,
Sam and I did. I think we did Holy Week with y'all.
Yes,
online.
Yeah.
And I think, was that kind of around the same time that you guys were ramping up?
Yes.
And,
So we did you're talking about, we did Holy Week before we launched. Right?
Yes.
And so so we do it every year now. So we just actually, Lauren, myself, Graylin, and Pastor Leslie, we all just did our Holy Week things. And so basically, Monday through Friday, right? We do Holy Week, YouTube, just a short 5 to 15 minute devotional about what Jesus or the people around Jesus were going through on that day of the week leading up. And so, but yeah, bro, I mean, it's just, we're trying to take people and get them to understand that, like, it's in the home. You know what I mean? Like, that's the importance of this thing.
Right.
Your kids, right? Your family, your friends, like, that's where it's at, you know? And so, but anyways, yeah, I mean, that it's been awesome, bro. You know, we're growing, you know, we're kind of at the point where we got to move, you know?
Yeah. Okay.
So,
you outgrew your church?
Yeah. We're at the point where we were in a gym. They said, we're not doing gyms anymore. So we're in a cafeteria. And we're busting at the seams, right? So like, we got to find a place. And then it helps that they're like, hey, you got to be out. But yeah, so we're trying to find that. And it's just hard to find a commercial space for a church, bro.
Yeah.
I get no's.
Man, I've been meaning to hit you because this past weekend I was at an open house and this guy pulls up, him and his wife, and he had came over because he owned the house right next door to the open house. So he was just coming in just to stop by. And I forget how we started talking about it, but he was like saying something about, he was like, yeah, for some reason he said something about Remax, that Remax had popped up somewhere and he needed to reach out about about getting help finding a commercial spot. This dude was a pastor.
Oh yeah.
So something about Remax, he had seen some sign somewhere and he needed help. And then he was just talking to me. We started talking, and then he was telling me that they do service in a Holiday, either a La Quinta or a Holiday Inn.
Oh, okay.
Over on the northeast side.
Yeah.
And so there was just all these coincidences because he was telling his neighbor who rents, like, hey, yo, you should go check out the spot. Mm-hmm. And then he had seen the Remax. Then he saw, as he was coming into the neighborhood, he was like, oh, there's a Remax sign. And then he comes in, it's the open house is his, like, right next door.
Yeah.
Then he comes in, we start talking. You know me, I just started going off on tangent, like, you know, oh, I'm a PK. I got a friend telling him about you. I'm going to link you up with Robby and Graylin. So I need to reach out to dude.
Yeah.
But, man, he seemed like a really, really solid guy, man. And he's like, I just want to, like, network with other people to just kind of get guidance. And I was like, man, I'll get you connected.
Well, you have to, man. That's something we've come to notice, man, is like, and just so y'all know, like, we're not like in a permanent building where we just come in on Sundays and have service. Like, we are there at 7 a.m. We unload 2 trailers worth of stuff, set up all the chairs, break it all down. You know, so my Sunday is I start at, 6 a.m. because we live so far out. And I don't get home till, 1:30 or 2. You know what I mean? Like after I pull the trailers, that kind of stuff. And we've got an awesome team, dude, that just like every Sunday shows up and, they're our home team. But without them, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. And we're kind of to the point where like, man, I'd like to not have to do this, load in every Sunday, load out every Sunday. But it's one of those things, man. I tell you, people, there's a lot of negativity out there about church right now. You see a lot of people that are like, oh, churches just use people for money and to work and do all that stuff. And it's like, man, it's a lot of it is like people missing the point. You know what I mean? Like one of the things that we found is, and this isn't anything new, right? But like when people are plugged in, there's just something different. When people are volunteering and giving of themselves, there's something different about, and that's with anything. That's not just church, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to the church, man, we find that when people stick around, it's because they get plugged in, right?
Yeah.
They get plugged in. They want to help. They want to set up. They want to tear down. They want to offer their services, things like that. And those people are the ones, man, who like you really start to see a change in who they are.
Right.
And that's the big thing is we've done this. We've done ministry since when did I get in? I was 19, right? And literally 2 weeks later, the youth pastor was like, "Hey, you want to teach at a service?" And I was like, I was like, "Bro, you know what I was doing 2 weeks ago?" Like, I was like, you know what club I was in 2 weeks ago? Like, I don't know. And he was like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "God's calling you to do something." And I didn't know what he was talking about back then. You know what I mean? But so we've been doing it since what am I, 36? So 17, 18 years now.
Wow,
doing ministry, and it's one of those things, dude. It's life changing. Sometimes I wonder why I did this. It's a lot of work. We talked about it kind of being a business. So as far as like my pastoral role is, that's the side that I take care of. I take care of all the behind the scenes, the business side of it, all of that. And of course, I teach every once in a while when Graylin can't teach and things like that. But that's my main focus is the administrative duties. And it's work, man. It is. And, you asked how I split it. And I tell people, man, it's interesting. It is. It is. It's because it's, when my real estate business, I tell all my clients, my only blocked off time is Sunday mornings, right?
Yeah.
Like I block those off. I try not to do too much on a Sunday afternoon because I try and take that as like my Sabbath, like just don't do anything from that afternoon to the next morning.
Watch the Cowboys.
Watch the Cowboys lose. Yeah.
Throw that in there.
And y'all got so good in the off season. Anyways, we won't go off on that tangent, but yeah. So anyways, it is a balance, bro. It's nonstop. My wife, she does our children's ministry. She rocks it, bro. They are rocking and rolling. She does she does our social media page. And it's funny, dude. We have these big churches that are like 10 times our size. And they're like, "Hey, who does your social media? We want to hire them." And I tell my wife all the time, I'm like, "I know you do it for free for us, but like you can make money doing this." Like, but anyway, yeah. So she does that. Like I said, I do all the administrative stuff. And then, Pastor Graylin and Pastor Leslie, dude, they are, he works a full-time job in education. She's a dental hygienist and also a homeschool mom. And then on top of that, they got someone in their house every day. They're just loving on people, making relationships.
Busy.
Dude, bro. Busy, bro. Yeah. And it's one of those things where we have a police officer that is there every Sunday. And his question to me is always like, do you ever rest? Do you ever? And I'm like, yeah, I do. Like people think I don't, but I do. Like I said, I'm a golfer. So like, I go play golf, I try to play once a week, but even at that, I'm like, I try and shut off my phone, but I can't, so always on the phone. But it's one of those things where it's like, dude, we got a busy life, and then we got 2 boys that are awesome. They're in baseball, like Ezra, and then you got, Sella and dance and all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, how do we do this? How do we balance this?
Yeah, no, that's crazy how you manage them both. Because my dad was just a full-time pastor.
Yeah.
And so like every day our schools, like we lived in Vic, but on the, over off of by Stroman.
Yeah.
But we put the church as the address. So even after school, I would walk after school, go to the church. And we used to have Sunday morning service and then Sunday night.
Oh man. I remember those days.
Right? Like I don't think people do that really much anymore, right? It's like after Sunday morning, it's a wrap, bro. But we would go Sunday morning and then we would have lunch with somebody from the church. Right. And then so you go to like 1, 2 p.m. and then just my parents take a nap and then boom, we heading back like in 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah. Bro, I remember those days, bro. Sunday naps are the best, dude. They're the best. And I don't get too many of them now these days, but like, dude, we used to do that when we were at that previous church, bro. It was 2 services in the morning. Then we go out to eat. We wouldn't get home till like 3, and then we'd turn around and be back at 6.
And with the Sunday school, bro.
Yeah. It's
like, gosh. It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. Hey, it's $1 million question here, man. With being the administrative guy here, do you throw in your business card in the offering plate whenever it's time for tithing
that would be great, right? That would be great. No.
Just trying to see how big of a salesperson you are.
Hey, I'll tell you what,
what's this?
what's crazy about this, man, is like right now, and y'all may not be on this. It's on my TikTok because it's the world I'm in,
Mm-hmm.
But like, there's this huge thing right now around like, oh, pastors get paid this kind of money, and like, I can't believe. And I'm like, bro, who are they looking at? You know it right from experience, but like that's the rare pastor that is getting paid a ton of money,
right. That's like the top 1%.
Yeah, you're looking like it's kind of crazy, And so the thing about it though is like, man, like I tell people all the time, like we don't take any money from the church, right? This is all volunteer.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's not to like toot our own horn or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's what we feel God has called us to do. You know what I mean? And on top of that, we do our biblical duty and we tithe. You know what I mean? So I always joke with our church that I'm paying you for me to do what I do. But dude, it's a blessing, bro. And I tell people this ever since I learned this. My mom has always been one of those people. So one, she's one of the most spiritual people I've ever known. Two, she listens to God like no other person that I've ever heard. And I just kind of short story. Like I remember one time, man, we were walking downtown. She got her paycheck. We walked to the Frost downtown, cash her paycheck. We're walking back past the Greyhound station or whatever the bus station was at the time. The lady out with a little boy. They look like they've been in some rough times. Turns out she was running away from her husband. I didn't know all that at that time. All I saw was my mom go, I'm gonna pray with you. She prays with her, and then she hands her entire check that she just cashed and said, go somewhere and start a life. Dang. God's gonna bless you.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here as a kid like, what are we gonna eat? Like, yo, what's going on? But my mom raised us with, if you give what God has given you, He will always give you more.
Yeah.
And that's how I run my business, bro. People ask me all the time, oh man, you do great numbers. What do you do? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I don't do any of that. Like, I don't do anything like as far as like promoting myself, marketing myself, and like that. I take care of my clients. I give what to God is God's, and He takes care of us. That's just the way I run it, And there's a guy at the office, I won't mention him by name, but he always tells me when, we see our numbers at the end of the year, he's like, bro, you still don't do any marketing or advertising? I go, no. And he's like, dude, you would make so much more money if you did. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that busy. You know what I mean? Like, I just
pray about it.
Yeah, I just pray about it. But I, honestly, bro, that's what it is, man. Like, we love doing what we do. We serve, because that's what we truly feel, and the blessing is when people come to us on a Sunday or during the week and they're like, hey, like, man, I'm 3 months clean.
Yeah.
I'm 3 months clean.
Yeah.
Or hey, our marriage is getting better. Our marriage, we're working through it. And those are like, bro,
it's beautiful, dog.
It's beautiful, bro.
Yeah,
beautiful. And so that's why we do it. And like I said, it's been great, bro. It's been great. We're growing. We're not about numbers, right? We're about how many lives are truly impacted, right? Like whose life is truly changed by this, right? And not by home, because we don't do anything. God does it, right? But like, we're the avenue, right? So we always have to view that as like, we're the avenue through which God is doing these things. And so, yeah, man, we love it, dude.
Well, listen, I appreciate you, because in my adult life, especially being here in San Antonio, I don't have we were just talking about this, I think last week, like I don't have no friends in like outside of like my friends are people in real estate.
Yeah.
And so like, besides my brother, like you have been like just a great friend, you know what I mean? To have like right next to me, dude. So appreciate you, my guy.
I agree, man. You too, dude. You're my dude, man.
Yeah. Thank you.
And I will say this, man, is like, that's another thing that like is on my heart this year that I told Pastor Graylin was like, I kind of took a back seat to preaching, because I was preaching probably, once a month, somewhere around there. I told him I kind of want to take a back seat to that for a while. And the only reason was because I really feel like God was like laying it on my heart to like, not be a mentor. I hate that word. Like, because like I feel like it's like you feel like you're higher than other people, or that's how people view you. But like to mentor just men, like just talking, being real, having hard conversations.
Bro, that's a whole topic. I feel like dudes can, anyway.
Yeah. And we won't go, we'll do another one. We'll talk about that. But, man, just being available for people to just talk, bro. Like that's something we don't do as men. We hear that all the time.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But it's one of those things, man, where that's really on my heart, is just to do that. And I always tell people it's interesting. There was a period like 2 years ago where out of nowhere, like all of like these guys that are like good friends of mine, close friends, just kind of like were opening up to me and, talking and having hard conversations. And they were kind of like, hey, I just want you to know, like I view you as like a mentor, like a big brother. And I'm like,
Yeah.
why, bro? Like, why? What is it? But it really made me understand. I told Lauren, it made me understand that like my son's eyes aren't the only eyes on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and so that's why, I kind of, hold myself to a different standard, and things like that. But I truly believe, as this right here, like there's just that dudes and one lady over in the corner. But as dudes, man, I know we're different than our fathers were. You know what I mean? Like, but it's one of those things where we can always be better. You know what I mean? Like we can always be better. We can always challenge each other to be better. And that's something that I really feel like I want to do. You know what I mean? Like I want to challenge people to think differently. About the role of a father, and that's hard for me, bro. Like I mean, it's hard. Lauren and I will do we do like our marriage day, right? But we set aside just an hour out of the week to work on our marriage, right? Whether that's doing a course or whether it's doing something else, class, or just talking, things like that. But one of the things that I'm starting to learn, man, is like, man, a lot of stuff that I do is like, this is not do it the right way. You know what I mean? And it sucks to think that, right? Like you think, oh man, I got a good life. I got all this. But like when you really look at it, it's like, there's some things I don't do right. You know what I mean? Like excuse me, there's some ways that I'm not a good husband. There's some ways I'm not a good father. There's, and it's not to like dig a dagger in me, or anything like that, but it's like, I got work to do, and I want to take people along with that, be better fathers, be better husbands,
absolutely,
be better dudes, bros. So
I love it.
Yeah. So that's what we're trying to do, bro.
I love it. Home Church SA.
Home Church SA.
IG. What's the IG handle?
It's
Home
good.
Church SA.
Home Church SA. Lawrence gonna be like, you got it wrong. I think it's Home Church SA. Yeah. Hey, I share the videos all the time. Just see me, Realtor Robby, and then you'll find it there.
I like them all the time, and actually we'll end with this because I'm waiting on this document from. I need to get it into underwriting. The funny thing was, the post, I think today, I woke up this morning and, what was the Bible verse? I was like, man, I need to put this up for like in my loan officer license or
I don't know
office.
what she shared this morning,
but it was like, I'll find it here, afterwards.
Okay.
It was funny because it goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
With
we're doing our money series this month.
Yeah. Well, it was about money. So yeah.
And it's been one of those like, man, that's a tough thing to talk about in church. You know what I mean? Like it is, but the Bible has so many verses about money. Like it's evident that it is an important thing to talk about, And so it's always one of those things where as like our pastoral team, when like we talk about this, we're like, oh man, are we doing the right thing? Like, are we doing? But no, it's been great, dude. It's been a great thing. But yeah, we'll check on it. I know we're already pushing time here. So.
What sauce are we going to go with, man? It's the last bite. Dude, you got a whole like half.
I know. Like, I'm about to chomp this down, but
swallowing these things.
If this one tastes like the green one that we try, maybe we should try one of these. I don't know. What's this one?
That's the Buc-ee's. The other one's the habanero.
Let's try the habanero.
It's been a while since we've had that one.
Oh man,
like 4 months.
I know. I think it's still good.
Like 4 months. Right. I mean, I've been watching the other ones, and I know they've kind of been like all around the time frame there. But I was thinking, bro, how does Joe Rogan like sit there for like 3 hours?
I have no clue.
That's
well. They got like.
Are we ready here? So
go ahead and take it. Like this one shouldn't be too bad. Yeah, it shouldn't be too bad. Ready? Go ahead and like this.
Hot? No.
Oh, I was going to say what?
Let's go.
All right.
All right.
Man, trying to chomp down fajita wasn't the best idea for this.
Dude, this is solid right now. I haven't eaten all day.
Me neither. That's why I was like, I'm gonna eat some tacos before we do this.
But this was the biggest bite I had at the end because I'm struggling right now. All right, man. Thank you for pulling up.
Yeah, man. I appreciate y'all, dude. I think this is dope what y'all are doing. And if we want to do it again, we'll do it again.
Yeah. Let's go golf sometime. I need to get back in the swing of things. Like, actually just go hit balls, not necessarily golf.
Hey, I'll tell you this, bro. I'm consistently, like, getting better now. So I can help you.
Okay.
Now that I actually kind of know what I'm doing. It took me a few years, but
Yeah.
I kind of getting there. So
Yeah, I'm down for that. Golf, maybe a missions game.
yeah.
Let's do that.
Got a lot of listings upcoming, or
I got a couple listings upcoming. But everything went off the market like in a week that I threw up.
Oh.
So I was kind of like, it's a great problem to have, right? Yeah, I've got more buyers coming up, than listings right now. I think we're still got a lot of people waiting on that, like they're not ready to make
drop.
that next move up, is not affordable. So that was some great announcement earlier today.
3 slashes, right?
3 slashes still this year. Maybe not as much as we thought they were going to be, but dude, if we can get into the 5s, I think we're golden.
Yeah. I'm already rocking right now, dude. And April's looking good. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Super excited.
Well,
cool, man.
All right.
All right. Well, thanks.
Yeah, dude.
Appreciate you.
We'll see y'all.
Get my phone off of airplane mode.
Yeah, let me. There you go.
Oh.